So it looks like we're live again, Jane. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
And we're going to talk tonight about celebrities and some of their psychic experiences, some which are documented, some of the stuff that we've come across. So we're going to say hello to everybody first, and those of you who are joining us. So nice to see you all again. Tell us where you're from as people begin to join from all over the world. It looks like Tiger Lily's on. Oh, that reminds us, of course, of Paulie Yates, but it's not the Paulie Yates Tiger Lily. Hiya, Tiger Lily. We've seen you before come on, I believe.
It's a beautiful name,
Wales.
isn't it? It's a beautiful name.
Yeah. And so anybody that's a celebrity out there, of course, come in and tell us about your celebrity experiences.
Totten, Nana.
So we've got a screen over there. That's why we look in that direction when we see
Yeah, because it's all coming up on the autocue.
Indigo Night 700. Greetings from Gosport.
Oh, a lovely place to live, Gosport.
A lot of our friends live down in Gosport. Yeah. Hi guys. What better way to start the weekend than to tune into our favourite psychics with a lovely juicy steak for dinner?
Hey you. Hey you.
We're not pagans though. Enjoy your meal. Agility Bits, yes, our regular. Hello from Cornwall. And Zoe Brown, thank you for joining us again. Quite a few. I think Zoe was on before, wasn't she? I remember Zoe. And Patricia Saltz from Germany. Yeah, we're getting an awful lot of regulars nowadays, so it's nice you all come in often like this. Now, don't forget when you're watching, remember to have a few questions in mind. Have you got any stories that you know about celebrities, things that people have said, questions you might like to ask us too? Because we know a fair bit of these type of things, and any unusual, quirky stories around celebrities' psychic and paranormal experiences. They've seen ghosts, predictions about their death, superstitions about the theatre, all that type of thing. We're going to do today, aren't we? All sorts of things like that. So it's going to be an interesting chat, I think.
Andrea from Georgia.
Still letting you come in, guys. So
hi, Andrea.
Joining us. You all came bang on time at 7 o'clock. We can just go straight into it.
Michelle from Ireland, lovely Ireland. Ava.
How many years that lady had, didn't she?
Yeah. Catherine Smith. This will grow on you, Greg. Noreen.
Oh, yeah, from Brighton.
Brighton.
So, it's all right.
I like Brighton.
Nice to see you all. It's good. Each of you, when you come online,
Kimberly. Hi from Florida.
This is better than telly, isn't it, really? You can actually interact.
Can you read that name, Craig, from India?
Aparajita.
That's it.
Banjarji, J. Jitta from India. Namaste. Namaste to you, my friend. Andrea, love you both. That's nice. If you want to make messages of praise about how wonderful we are, you're welcome to do that.
Especially as this one.
Of course. Yeah. For another chat.
Meditation Chamber. Hello again.
And don't forget, if you're on Facebook, follow us on YouTube.
Hello,
if you're on YouTube, follow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can get us both ways that way.
Sheila from India.
Hello from India. Yes, I think we've had Sheila on before. I think Kathy, I recognise. Kathy Murray. Yes, we know. Andrew with this very suspect
Tinkerbell
picture avatar. Yes, Greece. Yes, I think we had Leah on before. Yeah. Any famous celebrities out there joining us today? We're certainly joining us from the spirit world, I think.
Diana. Oh,
colour coordinating.
We are tonight.
Yeah, purely coincidental. I've been wearing this shirt all week, actually.
Oh, yeah, by the looks of it.
And actually, I did want to apologise for the mess in the house today. Jane didn't get a chance to do any hoovering. It's absolutely filthy. But it doesn't show so much on the camera. I'm from Brighton here.
Gardening for you next week, young man.
Ruth. Hi there, Ruth.
Brighton.
Ruth from Brighton. You see, I've got some notes I'm playing. I'm on the news here. Yeah.
From New York.
New York City, I think she said. Good evening. Thank you for you two. It will be a pleasure spending the next hour together with you.
Say
and
the
all
name,
the fantastic
Craig,
people who are watching. Hugs from Elsinore, Denmark. And this is from Zad Majbrik Kilgark. Oh, my Danish ain't much good. Hello,
Brittany, Nina.
Brittany, yes. It's great, isn't it, that we can all connect like this all
Sylvia,
over
I
the
know,
place.
so she's
I
lovely
mean, YouTube
lady.
is a fantastic way
Craig,
to
say
communicate. Hiya, Silva. Hiya.
Oh, she's lovely. The
Yeah,
horses.
you know her then.
I do. And
See,
she's
some of the people
fabulous
come on, we
person with
actually know.
horses.
We've got Domenico in the background here.
Canada.
Clicking on all our friends, I think.
I think it's an Indian lady,
Yeah.
isn't it? Goodwood? Canada.
Yeah. Surrey.
Julie.
Yeah.
What mouth is that? Govey.
Hello, Craig and Jane. So, well, I suppose we better start talking, shall we? So it's nice of you all to join us here tonight. The way this kind of got started, really, we after the last show actually was we were started talking about some of the pop festivals we've been to. You might know a lot about pop music, but you know sort of all about high density pop.
Sound like you've been on the pop.
that's from the young ones, isn't it? I think. But yeah, we were talking about going to the pop festivals and things, and started getting on to the topics of
who we met,
and the people we've seen on stage and things as well, and how some of those people have kind of like psychic interest and spiritual interest.
I remember going to Shepton Mallet. There was a festival there. I remember hitchhiking and got a ride with the Airport Convention.
Fairport Convention.
Well, like I said, you rude man, whack, whack, whack. And there was Jimi Hendrix playing there, Canned Heat, Janice Joplin, and there was quite a few celebrities. I think the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
We
were talking about that was quite an important, because you were a nurse there, of course, weren't you? And it meant you were able to sort of get behind stage.
Yes, and I used to get some of their hands and like this, Craig, to make sure they didn't have scabies.
I expect it's mainly for treating people that were taking too much acid.
Hallucinogenic drugs.
Yeah, and of course we both got interested. I mean, I've been to the Isle of Wight Pop Festival was the one I enjoyed most.
Bob Dylan.
I can't remember if it was the Bob Dylan one. Was Bob Dylan there? I remember the Who was my favourite there, and Hendrix was on there, and yeah, fantastic things. And in Southampton here, we used to get some fantastic bands nearby. I was telling you about
Botley.
Botley, just down the road. We had Yes and Genesis, I think, came down there.
Thin Lizzy.
Then we're going to the Portsmouth Guildhall to see the Pink Floyd, who weren't that popular then. They just brought out Saucer Full of Secrets, and David Gilmour had just joined them. And we're in the Portsmouth Guildhall, front row seats. And you were all given a brochure about what's going to be on. And I remember it was designed by this guy called Hypnosis. Fantastic, surreal.
So that's what's been the matter with you all these years.
But you know, you were right there, literally.
Well, that's
feet
how it
away
was
from
then,
them. You know, fantastic. So, that got us talking about all the celebrity type of people, and a lot of the pop stars
got into spirituality.
Got really quite into spirituality, particularly during the 60s and 70s, because of
Beatles,
acid and things like
the
that.
Beatles.
Well, the Beatles. John Lennon was he was very interesting in his interest in spirituality. He obviously went to see the Hare Krishna movement, and there's a thin little book about John Lennon's interactions with the head of the Hare Krishna, and he was really, it's a good, if you can get hold of it, see if you can get hold of it, because I've lost it now, right? But he was really quite scathing, actually, in the way he would ask questions. He would take no nonsense, John Lennon. He was brilliant. I remember he went to Rishikesh, where he'd spent his time there with Donovan was there with him, and so was a lot of the big names all went to Rishikesh with the
and
John
also,
Lennon
don't forget, George Harrison was quite highly spiritual.
Yeah. Well, actually, John Lennon, I got quotes on John Lennon, because he believed he foresaw his death. He was talking to it was on an acid trip he was taking, actually. he thought he saw Jesus Christ, right? And he said afterwards, just after that, he said, "They're going to kill me, they're going to kill me." Right now, whether that was some bad acid or something, I don't know. But he was dead serious about it, and for a long time afterwards, used to say that he's going to be killed. That someone's going to shoot him.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, then he did finally get shot, didn't he? In Detroit, he was shot. I think it was.
New York, Craig.
Was it?
New York.
Okay, maybe it was. Yeah, I can't remember where it was.
Because they
Actually.
lived in New York,
Yeah,
him and Yoko Ono.
yeah, that's true. That was actually. It was in New York, wasn't it?
Your memories are
Yeah, my
appalling.
memory's appalling, particularly with names. But
Do you know what my name is, Craig?
most of the time. But so he said it once. No, we're going to get shot or something. He had loads, and actually, it's hidden in some of his songs. I think sometimes there's little hints at the possibility of an early death for him. I think a lot of people get a sense like that, don't they?
Well, there's quite a few that had premonitions. One I can think of is Jane Mansfield. She was actually driving along in a sports car, and she had this strange feeling something bad was going to happen to her. And actually, her head was sliced off by a vehicle that came past, and a sheet of glass came out and sliced her head off.
Did it really? I didn't realise how she died.
She was very much very Marilyn Monroe looking, very glamorous looking lady.
Buddy Holly had similar sort of premonitions, didn't he? Because Buddy Holly had him and his wife together. Both had a same nightmare. They both had a nightmare of airplanes and fears of airplanes. And he, of course, he died in an airplane crash, didn't he?
About James Dean.
James Dean too. I mean, he was driving that car, the Porsche Spider, wasn't it? That was a real, and that actually this whole series of weird coincidences that went around that Porsche car. Actually, when it was put on display, it fell over and killed a load of people, and it was hexed. There was lots of stories and coincidences and weird coincidence. Could make a whole movie about that. Actually, make a good one. Actually, thinking about it. But he again, he had lots of premonitions about his death, particularly with the car. And there was a quote. I think I put a quote down from him. What did he say? Yeah. People say racing is dangerous, he said on one occasion, but I'll take my chances on the track any day than on a highway. And then when he just after that, that's when he had the accident. You know,
was it on Route 66?
I think it might have been something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Take it easy on the highway. The life you saved may be mine, he said. That was, and then immediately after that interview, he died soon after that.
I wrote down a list that I know that people personally that are spiritual. One's Jennifer Lawrence, an actress. She's quite well known in America.
So what do you know about her then?
She always prays before she goes to sleep because she believes it protects her.
So she's what a religious sort of spiritual.
Well, religious spiritually, but it doesn't mean she's dominated by any particular religion. She believes that if you pray, it gives out good energy and protection, like that. And also, Oprah Winfrey is a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
How did you say it?
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Wrong as well,
I'm going to start correcting
Lucky
you.
She never went for president. Nobody ever pronounced her name, would they?
Nevertheless, she's a very spiritual person, and she feels connected to spirit all the time.
She says a lot on her programs, doesn't she? On in the States, she's had quite a few psychics on her show.
And her favourite colour and her aura is green.
What was that presenter, the fat one that we were on the show for, and she was trying to get her name out there.
There's plenty of fat ones.
Yeah, the long blonde hair.
I don't know fat one.
We were on a show a few times, and we had that. You had to do that reading with the psychologist, and they put a plant in.
I can't think.
What was her name? I've forgotten her name. She's not known.
Oh, you mustn't say that. I know you're thinking, but you mustn't call her fat, Craig. That's very wrong. But I know you should use with V. Vanessa.
Vanessa, yeah. I mean, I liked her actually as a person, but she was really interested in all psychic stuff, wasn't she? I remember we had quite a chat with her afterwards about it.
Well, I gave her a reading afterwards.
Yeah,
she had long lost her mother because she's Jewish.
So there are quite a few people. I think a lot of people in showbiz get very interested in this type of thing. I suppose because they want to know what's going to happen in their life. They're very superstitious. There's a lot of superstitions behind the scenes.
Well, actresses are always an actor.
There's always a lot of, do you know any superstitions that put them in? You might want to ask about connected with showbiz.
I mean, like Tina Turner, we've actually gone to see Tina Turner, haven't we?
Oh, I didn't know she's
a practicing Buddhism.
She's into Buddhism?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting.
And Gillian,
quite a few are into Buddhism now, aren't they?
Gillian Anderson, she used to be the star in the X-Files. She does yoga and meditation every day. And she's quite
so she's into spiritual stuff.
Yeah. And we actually met Helena Bohan Carter, and we met her at Claridge's, and afterwards we were in the after party, because don't you remember the Samaritans had the film? What was that? Oh, the Talented Mr. Ripley.
Talented Mr. Ripley were invited along to the opening of that, weren't we, that time? So what was her? I didn't only did we meet her then?
Yes, we did, and there was Jules Holland there. There's quite some famous people. Actually, she's a very nice person.
Newsnight.
Yeah, and she actually Jules Holland plays the piano.
No. What's the presenter of Newsnight was on there too, wasn't he?
Jeremy Paxson.
You've got a terrible memory. I'm terrible for names. I have an absolute appalling.
You're not
name.
savants.
Yeah.
And so she has her own psychic and astrologer, personal astrologer. So she's into spiritual. And another one, Emma Watson. She was the Harry Potter actress. She's into Buddhism.
I see. Patricia said that Robbie Williams is very interested in spiritual stuff, and he seems to be a psychic as well.
Well, actually, we met
him,
Robbie Williams on the Big Breakfast when they first started. They were quite young lads, and I remember Paula telling them to invest their money and use it wisely.
Yeah,
he was quite a shy boy then. He's not so shy now, but he was.
Did you find him shy then?
Well, he was.
I didn't get much time to talk to them. They were all there, that band, because we used to meet the people in the green room. You see.
Simon Fuller was managing them at that time.
Yeah. So I didn't realise he developed such an interest. That was
his wife is into spiritual.
They were more into having fun on that show.
His wife is Turkish, I believe. She's into meditation.
And there were so many young kids outside, because they were still in Wham then, weren't they? Was it not Wham? What's it called? Take That. Don't ever ask me questions.
Getting old.
I really do sound like an old fogey. They would take that then, right?
You're still on Where the Beatles Are.
Yeah, I know. But I remember they had all this crowd of kids outside, and every time anybody showed their face at the window, they'd all scream.
And of course, what
was I doing?
Mr. Ego put his head out the window screaming. What a disappointment it must have been for all them young girls.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. So have you got any other interesting tips out there, people?
Angelina Jolie's spiritual, and Madonna, because she wore the red Kabbalah bracelet, didn't she?
Okay, Richie Valens also had a vision of his death.
Oh, that's interesting.
A lot of people did actually. I was making a few notes as well. Actually, so many of them. Jimi Hendrix. I mean, he was really quite. If you look at some of the lines in some of his songs, there's lots of hints about an early death in a lot of his songs, isn't there? He was quite and he made quite a few comments through his life about this first one, Ballad of Jimi, was one of the first songs he made before he was well known, had predictions in it he would die. I made a note of them actually. Many things he would try, for he knew soon he'd die. Now Jimmy's gone, he's not alone.
Yeah,
his memory still lives on. 5 years this, he said, he's not gone, he's just dead. So, he must have known perhaps he was going to die young, but then he was stuffing his head full of drugs all the time, so it's probably going to be pretty likely.
Janice Joplin, that's the same.
Yeah, Janice Joplin, yeah, and she was again, that was Jim Morrison, was it? Someone said about Janice Joplin. Who was it was talking? I remember reading one. Yeah, about Janice Joplin. Who was it was comment on? I think it was Jim Morrison. Who was the friends? Oh, sorry, I've forgotten now. But Janice Joplin.
Jim Morrison. They always had this premonition they're going to die young.
Yeah, well, Jim Morrison. I mean, again, you look at the song. You look at some of his songs, like "The End" is obviously is all about death, isn't it? "Killer on the Road" and the "Crystal Ship." They have lots of death-ridden lyrics in it, and I'm sure he was kind of obsessed with death and the idea of dying. Perhaps you just know. Perhaps you've done a deal with the devil or something. Madonna isn't spiritual, says Linda Badham. Bob Marley was.
No, when I meant spiritual, I meant she's very much following the Jewish religion. I'm not saying spiritual like yoga, Zen, and things like that. She's very much following that because it's probably just a trend.
Bob Marley always said that he'd die at the same age as Jesus, which would be 36, and I think it was 36.
Jesus died at 33, correct?
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not sure. They don't really know. They don't know when he was born, do they?
Stop making excuses.
Anyway, that's what Bob Marley said. I know that for a fact, that he always
good on Bob Marley.
He died 2 months after he was 36. So he died, and he was another one that felt he was going to die. He said that he would die. Didn't he die of something funny like cancer or something? Toenails or something?
Who?
Bob Marley. Like melanoma or something with the toes, I think.
I don't know. Most of them have had cancer. Oh yeah, it was to do with these feet, wasn't it?
I saw George Harrison's death 2 years before in a dream. Why, I do not know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can understand that now, Caroline, because maybe we pick up on people. You know, I mean, you see some people on the news, and
it's like
you think, I don't think they're going to live long.
It's 19 years, the Twins Towers today.
Yeah.
So people are picking up all kinds of things, aren't they, today?
Oh, perhaps they are. Yeah.
Well, they are. You know, that was 19 years ago when you think of it.
A lot of musicians get worried when they approach 27, it says on the screen, as so many of them have died at that age. It's known as the 27 Club. Yeah, I've heard about that. 27 Club. Yes, this 27 is the dangerous age when people will die. Yeah, I've heard about that 27.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, because they die around the age of 27. You know, so you think about Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Bob Marley. They're all round about that age group, aren't they? Yeah, so there's some strange stuff really. But I suppose you do die young as a pop star, really. Jim Morrison and Janice Joplin and a few others, including the Winehouses, were all aged 27 years old. Yeah, I think Hendrix was. I think Hendrix is 27. I think he was around about 27 when he went. He died in his hotel room, accordingly of asphyxia, wasn't it? But they covered up his death. Well,
he probably might have been.
All taking
they're all
acid,
on drugs and
the
things.
ones that were with him. Yeah.
And they probably might have been sick and that. And
yeah, Jimi Hendrix and lots more. Robert Johnson, Brian Jones, of course. He was 27. It's a weird thing, isn't it? 27 Club. Yeah, that's something you could make a video of.
Well, if you put 7 and 2 together, that's 9. 9 means completion.
Well, I suppose so. In numerology. Yeah. I suppose it's about as far as you're going to get in music.
Probably was the drugs.
You can take drugs up to 27 and probably not go much further. But of course, there's this idea of premonitions right the way through, not just music, because I think the music ones are interesting, but right the way through the theatre too. I mean, when we met
Tommy Cooper, he died on stage.
Yeah, he wasn't 27 though, was he? I'm just saying, did he have any premonitions?
No,
of
but
his
he
death?
didn't have to be 27 to die, did he?
No, but I say what I'm talking about is a lot of people in theatre and generally quite often have fears of death, I think, but often get premonitions of their death.
He always felt you die on stage, and he did.
Yeah.
Because they thought he was joking, and then they suddenly put the safety curtain down.
Well, Spike Milligan had put on his grave, didn't he? I told him I was ill. So he obviously had a premonition too, didn't he? Yeah. There's lots of interesting conspiracies, says Suzanne. Yeah, there is indeed, isn't there? So the thing is that your mind sort of twists into these things with people. Princess Diana, for example, she had feelings that she was going to die too, I knew the person that gave her colonic irrigation.
How wonderful!
Which is my claim to fame.
Was she passing
Diana.
Through, Craig?
Sorry, man. But that's good. That's good. But she said that Diana was constantly in fear of being assassinated because the MI5 or MI6s that followed her around were she was in constant fear that someone was going to top her. So that was from someone that knew her well. Noreen Blackstone, patron. I keep seeing the number 711. Any thoughts on that?
Well, 7 is a spiritual number. 7 gates
to
heaven.
A lot of people
11 connecting to heaven and earth. And of course, it's at 9/11 today.
I suppose it is. Perhaps you're 2 days late, Noreen. I think it should be 9/11.
No, it's 9/11 today.
Yeah. Today's 9/11. See.
Yeah.
Nick,
see, you don't know history.
And today's night, have either of you received messages about what took place? So many conspiracy theories surrounding the event, but I can understand why some may be hesitant to talk about it.
Well, it's just a terror attack, wasn't
Well, I tell you what I did have before, and I wrote it down in my dream diary, and you'll poo-poo this and say, oh, that's all right after the event. But I wrote down a dream that I had of being with Arabs. And I used to do a lot of work for a company called Cab Air. They were a small light airplane company. And I used to do their graphics and things for them years ago. And I dreamed about being at Cab Air, which was the place. But I was in Kisimet, and they had a flying school in Kisimet. And I dreamed I was with a load of Arabs. And I couldn't understand why I was in this ground school with all these people learning to fly in Kisimet in Florida. Well, and then later on, I found out that those people that trained to fly those aeroplanes were in Kisimet in Florida. Before, so I picked it up before, and I didn't connect it at all at the time of 9/11. But I wondered, because when they were searching for Bin Laden and everything, I thought, Kisimet, did I see anything there? But I didn't see enough to be able to warrant ringing anybody up with it or anything. I'd have just looked silly. So what happened with 9/11? I mean, I see some of the stuff with that whole thing about 9/11. People say that it was set up, that it was a deliberate ploy to sort of stir things up again. And the way things go on, you could say the same thing about the coronavirus. You could say the same thing about the moon landings. There's all these question marks about.
It's all down to money, isn't it? But, to make the world in terrible trouble and money.
We can't know for certain.
No.
I mean, 9/11 was a dreadful, dreadful thing, and there's often more behind these things than you think. Princess Diana wrote letters describing the car crash plan.
She did.
Yeah, I forgot about that. She came out recently, didn't it?
Yeah, because we knew her personal secretary, Princess Diana's personal secretary, that travelled around with us to New York.
Yeah, well, she had the readings with us on that show we did in America, for America, and partly in America for the where we did a seance to communicate with Princess Diana. So if you've not seen that, it's on the channel, actually. You can go and have a look.
And they sell it in Harrods on the
Yeah, we saw it on CD. And it went out all over, and we went on Fox News
it's
to
still
talk
on
about
sale
it.
At Harrods.
It's still on sale, is it? Yeah, but you can get it on our site. You can get it. I've got a version on there, but don't tell anyone. There's a free version on our site. You can go and look at it. But Diana was really, I think she knew it was what was coming, didn't she? I think she was seeing a lot of psychic people beforehand.
She saw 300.
I think she saw, everybody claims Diana spoke to me. I was Diana's psychic, but they forget, and I know this for a fact, because we used to have, I've got the telephone lines on the site, which is a franchise with another company. And when that company first got set up, we knew that Diana was calling the lines loads of times. So I never spoke to her, but it would be put through to the psychics. And halfway through, they find out it was Diana. She would just call from the palace. They would go and spare because she was ringing these premium rate calls and speaking without any security in the way. She spoke to hundreds of them.
Yeah, but she did go and visit Rita Taylor, and she arrived.
That was a bit more serious.
She arrived by helicopter in the field, and she gave Rita a gold necklace, and she used to collect Crown Derby jewelry, and China, and she gave her that, so that was proof. Yeah, she'd often give someone something substantial, not a milk bottle. She'd give something substantial. Not a milk bottle. Well, one of the psychics claims that she saw Diana because she got a Royal Palace milk bottle. I mean, the person I say... How very useful. The one that gave her the colonic irrigation, which she must have been pleased with, she used to just give her she gave her a Romany... Romanov. A Romanov, not an egg, no, it was a pillbox, which is very, very valuable, that belonged to the Tsars. She used to just pick things up from the palace. The Queen's been looking for that. The Queen's been looking there we are, have a Romanov pillbox. Thank you for helping me, give priceless things, She was quite a person, that Diana. So anybody else we can think of? Oh, Howard Carter, who found Tutankhamun's tomb. Yeah, he knew he and his family were going to die because of the curse around the tomb. That's probably a virus. Yeah, Howard Carter was... I know. Yeah, they reckon it could have been a virus. And there was
I can't remember the full story. 3 of them died, I think, didn't
That's
they?
right.
Because it really hit the press about the idea of the curse. And one of them died of a mosquito bite, I think.
Clairvoyants. It's in Highcliffe.
Cavan, yeah.
Highcliffe Castle.
Yeah, we went Highclere Castle.
Yes, that's
we
where
went
it
there,
is.
didn't we? They've got a really good museum of all Carter's stuff there, haven't
Yeah.
they? And some of his personal stuff there, not just the Egyptian artifacts. But yeah, that was a weird story. That.
We often pop by for tea and cakes there.
Yeah, yeah. So there's quite a lot for you people. I've heard Marc
Elvis.
Bolan. That was another.
Do you think? Oh, this is very important. Do you think Elvis Presley wanted to be part of the 27 Club? He recently committed suicide, Craig.
Oh right,
that was Elvis
That's...
Presley's daughter.
Yeah.
Son, the only son,
the
only grandson.
I know that Elvis. I mean, I wrote about it in one of my books once. I can't remember the exact quote. I think he might have been.
Leg down, they can't see me.
It might have been with with Uri Geller or somebody said it to. But Elvis was looking at the clouds in the sky, and like you can see pictures in the clouds. And I think it was Jesus he saw. I think he'd seen Stalin first or something, and then he saw Jesus, and he kind of interpreted this that he was going to die. And it kind of happened.
What's Stalin got to do with
I don't know what Stalin. I can't remember the full story, but he certainly saw Jesus in the clouds, and he thought to himself, "I'm going to die. I'm going to die." And he expressed his fear, and it was soon after that he died. And I know that what's her name, Priscilla Presley.
Yeah.
Very much feels that Elvis is around her, and so does the orchestrist, and say they feel that he's there. But she's very, very strong believer that Elvis is in touch with her. Yeah, very much close to her. I mean, a lot of the big stars. I think they're more psychically open because you're creative, aren't you? I mean, Liberace was very open to things as well. They say Princess Diana knew too much of strange stuff going on in the upper class royal family. While Prince Andrew, Epstein, Prince Charles, Jimmy Savile, who knows? Yeah, I reckon she did. And she's one that would spill the beans, isn't she? She's not going to keep her mouth shut about things. Who knows what Diana knew? I bet she saw all sorts of things. I mean, we knew some people that were involved with... not strictly in the palace, did we? You remember? I won't say who, but and all sorts of weird stuff went on. I'm talking about.
I do.
We knew some of the butlers. My God, some of the stories they come out with.
Shocking stories.
Yeah, but I can't prove it. But that's the information that we were told there. My God.
Lizards. Didn't Diana say these people are not human, that they're all from lizards?
Oh, did Diana say something like that?
I don't think
she meant it in the same way David Icke would.
No,
she might have said something like that. These people are like lizards. I can imagine David Icke would say, "Whoa, see, proof, proof positive." Yeah, she did. They were rotten to her, weren't they? Really, I mean, they really mistreated her. We're kind of going off topic, but I suppose she was very interested in psychic things, wasn't she? Ah, you're finally on again, Jason. You keep missing us, don't you?
Yeah.
I've seen your post before. Made it. 7 o'clock UK time, right? Every Friday we come on, guys. And if you see this afterwards, post a comment to say you come on board. And if you've got any interesting stories, put them in the comments now or later, because it's always useful. And don't forget to follow this channel. If you're new to the channel, click the little bell thing, and then you'll get updates, and you'll all be able to you'll get a message, and it'll pop in your inbox so that you know we're live online. Or better still, become a patron on the site, because if you become a patron, you'll get updates all the time and can interact with me and Jane. And it helps with our work, of course, as a patron, and will help us with our charitable work as well.
If I can just keep quiet for a
minute,
minute,
you have to tell them all. You have to tell them to subscribe, otherwise you'll forget.
Yeah. We went to Liberace's home. Do you remember when we went to Vegas? And he used to pray every night to St. Anthony, because he had a statue of St. Anthony. Do you remember? And he was quite close to his mother.
Yeah, and Liberace believed that his skills on the piano were guided by the musician Hans Liszt. And he really did believe that Liszt was used to kind of take him over when he played. He made a number of quotations about that. Quite an interesting fellow, Liberace, actually. He was quite a troubled person in a lot of ways, wasn't he? But he also, I think, had makes me wonder if he was kind of psychically open. Quite a
He
lot
died
of the
of
things he said.
AIDS, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
But he was so.
His spirit's been seen a lot too, I believe.
Yeah, and his piano's somewhere. I think diamond piano.
Yeah.
Remember we saw that and all the stuff.
Yeah.
His stuff. He's quite close to his mother.
Martin Luther King said, "I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you." He was assassinated the next day. Yeah, he was actually. I know he was. He died in. That was in Memphis, wasn't it? He made that speech. I think. I've been to the mountaintop, you know, and the speech, and then he said that.
Then Malcolm X tried to copy him afterwards.
Yeah, I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, I think he said. Yeah, and he was right, because the next morning, I was in April in 1968. He was assassinated by a sniper's bullet or something, wasn't it? So he saw it coming, you know. So perhaps people, you know,
1968.
That was the big question on
1968. Cindy said.
Yeah, it might be, and I know it's in front of the Lincoln Memorial, because that was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire last night. Of course, Lincoln was into these things too. He foresaw his death too.
Who?
Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
He believed he saw his death.
Oh yeah, he had a premonition.
And there's lots of weird stuff. Actually, that make a whole great.
Oh, somebody wants to become a patron. Please all come and be a patron,
yeah.
And then you can get more of us, more of him, more of me.
Yeah, and I put on the patron stuff. Of course, I put some of the stuff with me and Jane. All the bits I dare not put on YouTube.
What do you mean?
All the sort of the unedited and just us having chats and things like that, you know. So it's the family stuff too and things like that go on there sometimes, and little clips from shows and things. I mean, you don't get a huge amount, but it just helps supporters as well.
I went to school, a guy who made jewelry for
Liberace
in Lake California is a small world. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is a small world.
He did like jewelry. Do you remember what he used to say? Do you like my rings, everybody? You should do, because you paid for them. Didn't he?
That Liberace's museum in Vegas is closed down now.
Oh, it's gone.
I saw it closed.
And his home. It's all gone,
so it's all gone. And I thought he was a person who deserved that.
Yeah, that's interesting. What about the Kennedy curse? They all died early. That's very true.
Yeah, I suppose.
And some of the
Kennedy, I'm not sure.
Well, that
he must have been. He was pretty young too, wasn't he?
1963.
Yeah, but he wasn't 27, was he?
No.
But Kennedy, there was a lot of weird coincidences around Kennedy. We were asked by one of the directors we used to work with. Worked with the JFK film Stone. What's his name? Stone was the director, wasn't it?
Oliver Stone.
Was that the director? Yeah. Eduardo was.
Oliver Stone.
And they wanted us to make a movie about JFK, didn't they? We were going to go around all the spots, and most of the people problem was to try to communicate with JFK. They wanted us, like we did the Diana show. We were going to do one with the Kennedys, weren't we? But there weren't enough people alive who knew Kennedy really to be able to make a communication, because you'd need someone who knew him personally, so you could get information that only that person knew, things that had been said between the two. So we could have perhaps got to the bottom of some of the Kennedy stuff, but it would have been one of those programs again that would have been a little bit hot potato, wouldn't it? Because it's a sacred thing.
It's an interesting one, Caroline.
Do you choose to become famous before you're born, or are you here for a reason?
Well, Craig certainly did many incarnations.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think it's something that happens in your life, because sometimes being famous is a curse rather than anything else, isn't it?
I think it's a bit like they say, isn't it? That some people have greatness or fame thrust upon them, and some have to work for it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of both. And you know, who knows?
Your life's not your own.
You might be out there now. You might have been famous as a past life and don't know it. You know, that you have to live a different life this time round. You wouldn't live a famous life all the time, would you? And people come for fame for different reasons too. Fame's not necessarily a good thing. Cy Barber used to say, "Fame is spittle," because actually, when you think about it, fame's a pretty dangerous thing, isn't it? It goes to people's egos.
Your life's not your own. You can't go anywhere.
I mean,
one of my friends is Melinda Messenger, And it's so annoying if we're going out, just getting a cup of coffee or that, and people keep coming up, can we have your autograph? Can we have phone? You're trying to have a private conversation. It's annoying, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's saying here that President Lincoln had a dream of seeing his casket in the rotunda. He asked someone in the dream who was laid in state, and he was told that the president had been shot.
Gosh,
Yeah, so that was, he saw the spirit, didn't he, there, I suppose. I think he was that was 3 days. I remember seeing this somewhere.
Did that happen in the theatre?
Yeah, but this was 3 days before he went to the theatre and was shot. I think he was shot 3 days after that.
In the theatre,
he saw that.
Knew
yeah,
when he stood up and
yeah, that's when they had he saw the spirit first, 3 days later. And actually, Lincoln. I mean, we could do a whole video about Lincoln. Some of the weird, strange coincidences, particularly connected with Lincoln and the Kennedys, actually, because there's very, very similar things between both of those assassinations. Brenda's saying here, we do not
Brendan,
die.
not Brenda.
Brendan, sorry, Brendan.
Yes, I'm so
You'll understand. We do not die. It's just that moment when spirit moves into the next phase of existence. Yeah,
true,
well, that's absolutely the truth, you know. I suppose people have a lot of fear of death, don't they?
Because somebody asked me once, if somebody's famous or a king or a queen or a pop star, are they still famous when they reach the other side? Well, fame doesn't mean anything in the spirit realm, does it?
No, I think that's the case. I mean, there's been quite a lot written in some of the early spiritualist books about those ideas. And I would say that when you go to the spirit world, you know, you are recognized not for your status on earth, but who you are as a spiritual being. And people, I presume, you know, when those things no longer matter in the slightest, it's just, I think in the spirit world, you're revealed as who you are. You know, there's nothing in the way, as it were. You know, we're not hiding behind a mask or hiding behind what we say. It's all revealed, you know. And it would be nice in this world if you could see people exactly who they are.
Yeah.
You imagine what it would be like if all of a sudden we knew exactly what a person was like. You know, we know that they're lying, that they're cheating or whatever. You could see it without any.
Oh, thank you,
restraints.
Carol.
Love your blue suit, Jane.
Yes. I don't love your shirt.
They don't like my crinkly shirt. That's because the ironing in this house is terrible, poor quality. Jason's saying here, 7 p.m. UK time equals 3:30 my time. Good. So we'll see you next 3:30 a.m. God. Anyway, at least you know the time. Glad you're dedicated.
Rasputin, this is interesting. Nana. Rasputin the Mad Monk was very spiritual with weird hypnotic eyes. He knew that he was going to die, so he held the young Tsars to live. Well, they tried to kill him, I believe, about 4 or 5 times, and he wouldn't give in to it, would he?
Well, they
over the river. Do you remember over the bridge? And
they reckon he became immune to cyanide. They used to try to poison him so much with cyanide that his body became resistant to it, and he could take huge quantities of, I think it was cyanide. But
don't forget he was a drunk as well.
Yeah, he was a fascinating character, wasn't he? There's some good movies out there.
He had healing powers, strong healing powers.
Yeah,
because the Tsar's son was haemophilia.
Yeah. So he did have psychic powers and healing powers. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Do healing powers only go through spiritual people, or can it go through anybody? And do psychic powers only go through spiritual people, or can it go through anybody? I mean, I've seen a lot of mediums and healers who I thought they're not very nice people, but they seem to be able to do the job. You know, so
well, the spirit world will use any vehicle.
I suppose I think that's what it is. Yeah, even a broken violin you can still play a tune on.
Jean Dixon, yes. Kenny and Team wanted not to come to Dallas.
Yeah, Jean Dixon. They knocked Jean Dixon, the skeptics, saying the Jean Dixon effect, that you throw enough predictions out there and one of them becomes right. Yeah, which is a bit unfair, because I think Jean Dixon was, from what I'd read of her,
gifted.
Was quite a gifted psychic, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she saw a lot of big name celebrities. I think she saw, would it have been Roosevelt, something like that. I think that was her time. But she went to the White House, and she gave some readings in the White House, I believe.
Well, that had been in the 60s.
Yeah. So she certainly got known. And of course, Reagan's wife, Nancy Reagan, she was into astrology big time.
Yeah, there's one for you.
So Meditation Chamber asked, didn't Percy Shelley see his own doppelganger, which meant that this was a sign that he was going to die soon, shortly after he drowned and his body wasn't found? Might have done. I don't know that story. Elizabeth the First apparently saw her own doppelganger, and so did the poet Goethe. There's quite a few people. Goethe describes meeting himself walking along the road one day. So that's a weird thing. And what could that be? You know, that's not like the spirit world we're talking about now when we talk about doppelgangers. Maybe alternative realities, maybe multiple dimensions or something, or maybe time slips of some sort, that you see yourself coming down the road what you've walked down years before or years later. You know, those doppelganger ideas are very strange. They often say if you see a doppelganger, it's going to be a time you're going to die. So you see a double, you know. So there's a lot of fearful sort of superstitions around that type of thing.
Frank, something you might find interesting is who was the serial killer of the H. Nude murders, the 1960? Can you feel a psychic insight into the case?
I don't even know about.
I don't know.
Hang on, of the H. Nude murders, where were they? Sorry, Frank, don't know.
We're children then.
No. We did have the Moors murders, mother, didn't we?
I did.
Yeah, on runners up after when we were on the Big Breakfast, and we both spoke to her. I spoke to her first, and we both.
And I was the one that described her son's glasses, and I saw elastoplast over the frame. She said, "I still got those glasses, and exactly as you described it." And she wanted me to go up to Saddleworth Moor to find his body, but all I saw was, you know, these old-fashioned belts with like an S shape. They were metal. I saw that. And she's got the metal detector.
Yeah, I remember. I spoke to her too, and she was ever so sad. I mean, she would dig on the moors every weekend.
With her son.
The police actually banned her from going to dig on the moors in the end. But she lived a long time. She's dead now, and she never did find her son's body, did they?
Keith Bennett,
yeah, poor woman. Can you imagine losing a child like that and never being able to give up on it, and digging every day, trying to dig for your son's body as many times as you can. Dreadful those murders were, weren't they? Yeah. So,
Casey, I love your predictions. When can we expect a new video? Hopefully, you'll get something more about the royal death.
Yeah, I do one once a month. I think the next one comes up in a couple of weeks' time. I have got a few ideas for it. So yeah, maybe I should look at the royal stuff as well. I've been kind of taking a different theme each week lately. We did the American elections at the moment, which is a fascinating one. And you'll notice a lot of the things have come true in that video that I said, particularly about the new riots. And I also said about that there would be another disaster in America just as we're coming up to the election. Well, we've had all the wildfires in Canada. So I said about that last week. So there's me blowing my own trumpet here.
When have you ever stopped?
Well, if I don't blow it, no one else will.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So it's that's like
India, good night.
I got
Doris Stokes'
books.
Her father appeared to her to say John was alive when a so-called psychic died and said he had died.
Oh, I didn't know about that. But Doris Stokes' books are really good. Again, Linda, look, we mentioned it last week that Linda Dearsley brought a new one out about the Doris Stokes effect. I think she called it. Jane's got it up there again. It was on there, so it's still there.
Voices.
Yeah, give her a plug because she's really nice, Linda Dearsley.
And we're in that book, I believe.
Yeah, she told our story in there because we had a lot of connection with Doris Stokes too. But if you haven't ever read any Doris Stokes, I mean, go and read it because her books still are just as interesting today as they ever were. You can get most of the time in the second-hand shops, can't you?
And Doris Stokes was the first medium that brought all of the spirit world out into the open in the theatres.
Yeah.
And she appealed to everybody because she was like everybody's grandma, wasn't she?
I write a lot about her in my book, Messages from the Universe, too. I told her about the story of how she predicted Jane and I would meet. That's in Messages from the Universe, and a lot of other stories like that. So if you like my books, I mean, I think Messages from the Universe is my favourite of the books I've written so far.
And John Stokes, Doris Stokes' husband, gave me a way to
get married
to
I tell all
Craig.
That story in there too, and we've actually got video of all that.
Yeah, you gave me a video.
So yeah, so Doris Stokes was she always said she never predicted the future. She said I couldn't. What did she have? No,
I couldn't rise the skin of a rice
pudding.
pudding.
That was it. That was it. Yeah, that was. raise the dead, that was, wasn't it?
Mm.
So she always considered herself just to be a medium and would never predict the future. But in actual fact, she predicted our future and the day we'd meet, didn't she?
Yeah.
Which was a remarkable story of how all that happened. But yeah, I think it's the future that people fear the most and want to know about, you know. But I always think the best gift of mediumship is actually the life after death proof, and the fact that the philosophy behind it, you know, is more important than the messages. And people forget about the importance of philosophy, don't they? The philosophy of connecting with the spirit world and what it means.
I mean, England's got some great mediums, but everyone's a medium now. Even a tarot reader's a medium.
Well, yeah, everybody's medium. I see. We've got the nice little sign up there. You can get them from psychics.co.uk if you want to buy the books, which I really recommend them. But I would do. I'll have to put some of our friends' books on there too, because who've been on here. Yeah, so it's
How many books have you written now, Craig?
Oh, I don't know. I've lost track.
25?
Yeah, no, it's not as many as that. Depends what you translate them into. I don't know. I've forgotten, honestly. Frank Quinn says, "Sorry, I meant to say the Hammersmith nude murders in the 1960s."
I don't know about that.
No, I don't think I don't know about that. It's going back too far. Yeah. No, I don't know enough to be able to answer that one. No, sorry guys, I can't answer that one. When we are fallible, as you've probably noticed.
Yes, yeah. I can.
Would you want to? I can get you to do one.
Yeah, I can, because I remember I made all the predictions on a show called The Prediction Show, and they put all my predictions in the Bank of England, and every single one came up. I beat all the journalists and all the others. Yeah,
well, we could certainly do that. Yeah, because we used to
go on... for you, Nicholas.
We used to go on The Big Breakfast, didn't we? And that's what we were on for. That's how we kind of first stepped into television.
Next week's news today.
And we used to get it right. Both of us get it right. And sometimes in the minute detail, they were blown away, weren't they? You imagine doing that, you know, going in with all these people.
They had a scoreboard.
Total skeptics.
They had a scoreboard.
They're just there to mock you. And yeah,
and I predicted
Paulie Yates would have torn us to pieces. Everybody.
I like Paulette. They predicted Princess Anne when she would get married in the venue before anybody knew.
Yeah, lots of stuff. You know, we're beating the newspapers to everything. It was interesting. Sometimes they wouldn't come the next week. They'd take 2 or 3 weeks, but they'd come up, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
I used to find that predictions usually come about 3 weeks ahead. I'd find.
In those days, we used to have to.
The timing's hard.
A fax machine, and we were working right up to 11 o'clock at night, and we had to get the 3 o'clock train in the morning to get to London. We'd have a driver waiting at Waterloo, take us to the studio, and then because they had all rehearsed at 7, and then we were straight on for like just 10 minutes.
Yeah, God, a lot of work just for a few minutes on screen. Actually, sometimes it was only 2 minutes, and you'd have to get it all out. So, yeah, and Paulie Yates, of course. We never predicted to her that she'd die, would we? But we did have a bit of a funny feeling with her, I remember, didn't we? So thought she'd go early.
Well, she was all right with that.
She was nice. Yeah. Susie is saying here, enjoying the Doris Stokes books, Voices Everywhere, that you recommended last week. I've never heard of her.
Well, you
see, there's some great mediums out there from the past that you should look into. Is Craig on the History Channel again? No, they haven't asked me again yet, but I expect everything's shut down from the coronavirus. Yeah. So any opportunities that were coming up there seem to have gone. But to be honest, I'd like doing television because it's fun. But I like this YouTube, really, because you've got more interaction with people, you know? So you can go and watch it. It's still out there.
Also, television, they won't allow you to be what you really are.
Yeah.
They have hidden agendas all the time.
You know, when you go on TV, you get these young producers who've just come out of film school, and they don't know anything about psychic stuff, less than any of you guys know, because they've never watched anything like this. And the next thing to say, we're going to tell you what to do and how to do it. You know, we want you finding out what's in the boot of the car, you know, which boot of the car is the person in.
What was that Japanese one?
Banzai.
They're going to hide a toaster in a grave, and we had to find it. We turned down a lot of television.
We turned down tons. We turned down Street Psychic. We turned down Most Haunted. We turned down Oh, tons. Well, perhaps we were fools to be
Not
so
really.
picky.
You've got to do what
But
you feels right.
I'm just so pleased that you can actually we can get out to the world without having to.
Who was Jack the Ripper?
He was the Polish guy.
He was. He came out in asylum, didn't he?
Yeah, it was the Polish fella that I think we looked into
Crazy.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few.
They said the Prince of Wales.
They thought the Prince of Wales and they thought it could have been Masonic too, because of the way Masons make a pledge to they'd have their
he
stomach
wasn't
cut
connected
open.
to royalty.
No.
He wasn't the Prince of Wales.
No.
He came out in asylum.
It was that Polish person that came
Yeah.
over, who, if you look into it, is pretty good evidence actually out there now to suggest that it could have been him. And we had a little bit of a connection with some people who wanted to make a movie about Jack the Ripper. They were going to make a 3D movie. Like these all surround movies, like you get on PlayStation and that. And the person watching it would be the victim laid on the table as all the terrible things. It was a torture movie, really, wouldn't it? So we didn't get involved. That was Japanese people wanted to do that one. So that was another one we turned down.
No, it definitely wasn't connected to royalty.
No, I don't think it was either.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Because we had really researched it all in the museums and people that knew a lot about it.
Yeah, and we were able to touch one of the shawls of the.
But it still had the blood on it.
To pick up, yeah, because this was going to be part of the thing to hold the victim's scarf from one of the museums.
Through psychometry.
And through psychometry to pick up the energies. And what I just felt it was that Polish person. I've forgotten his name now. I can't remember the details. But maybe we should make a video about that, Jen. Maybe go up to Whitechapel and go through some of the spots. I'll make a good one. And also Lord Lucan too. We could go around all that. Do another movie up.
Well, we
because that's another.
We did speak to Lord Lucan's wife, didn't we?
Yeah.
She's died since.
Yeah, we've made good movies.
Carol,
when we can get out.
Carol.
Any thoughts on people who pass when they are asleep? Does it prevent them from moving on? No, I don't think so. I think that makes no difference whatsoever, because I think, I don't know, would I prefer to be fully conscious when I die or what, asleep? I don't. Once you shed the body, you're neither awake or asleep, are you?
No.
Really. They do say that when a person goes into the spirit world, they sometimes go to sleep. And also, one of the things I had happened to me recently, a reading I did the other day, actually, I'm not going to give any details about it other than this, it was for an Indian family. And I said to them, the person in the spirit is telling me that you're feeding him. He's being fed. He's showing himself being fed. And she said, we're doing all the rituals at the moment in which we feed the dead. No, I didn't know that.
They're doing pujas.
And they were doing the pujas to give the food to the dead. So it was like the spirit person said to me, you're feeding me from the spirit side.
That was nice.
And he said, this is symbolic. I was getting the feeling.
Yeah.
This is our connection. It's our ritual that we, the Indian people, can connect with each other by feeding us. So it's like, and I remember Sharavana said to me to remind people that it's important to do the worship of the ancestors. So that's what that must have been. So I just mentioned that because particularly from the people from Hindu background, those rituals, they do work. They are like a way of connecting. You're not actually, they don't need feeding in the spirit world, but it's like a
they certainly
symbolic
work on
connection.
you tea time and dinner
Yeah, I'd be knocking on and saying tea time, time. So we're coming up to getting closer to the end now, guys. So we're going to need our last questions now. If you've got any, you can ask anything you like. Once we go to the end of each show, we start to sort of open it up a bit, don't we? But it doesn't have to always be about celebrity stuff. And again, with patrons, and don't forget to subscribe. So if you click the little bell thing, you can subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment. Come back maybe after we finish and leave a comment too, because it all helps us with the rankings on YouTube as well. But it's nice to see your comments because it gives us ideas for the future. And if you've got anything interesting, celebrity stories that you know about or questions you want to ask about things, put them in the comments below and we'll always have a look at them. And don't forget, give a thumbs up before you leave. And if you really like our channel, become a patron. You can give $3 a month, 25 or up to $25 a month, and it just helps the channel to grow. So that's the main thing. And we do try to give a little bit back to our patrons as well. We're not, it's just helps us, and it helps us with our spiritual work, and eventually our dream to have a spiritual center, like the Nadi Oracle said in Messages from the Universe. So Patrice is saying a lot of astrologists predict a major geophysical event in America. What do you think? I think there will be in time, but I don't know whether it's yet.
It's all happening with the fires, isn't it? Now
We've
it's
got
all sort of things.
I think we're going to see a lot of. I mean, Edgar Cayce said that there would be a major shift in the Earth's mantle, that the poles of the Earth would change, the magnetic poles. Now they do change every, I think it's 11,000 years or something like that, and we're right due for something like that to happen round about now. But of course, it could be another 5,000 years hence or less, you know. But so that's kind of in a lot of these people's minds. And the problem is, one tells another, and then it becomes fact. But it becomes, you know, everybody starts to say the same thing. So I haven't seen that yet.
Isn't something meant to happen on a blue moon, which would be October 31st?
They talk about the
blue moon, October 31st.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about the certain moons, that there's certain moons that will come blood red moons. Yeah. They talk about. So a lot of this is, I don't know. I just, when I make my predictions and Jane makes hers, we get it in a different way. We don't get it necessarily from astrology. We just get it intuitively, and when we get it, and it comes almost the week before sometimes. Yeah. We just know it, you know. Thank you both for answering my questions. Well, that's a pleasure. Nice. No, we're always pleased, and thank you guys for asking the questions, because this interaction.
Yeah, we will do Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, we will do Jack the Ripper, and that would be one we'd go out probably with Domenico up to London and do it all properly, you know, and make it.
And we'll show you the shore with the blood on.
Yeah, we should be able to get hold of that as well and talk to the people in the museums and things, and maybe able to do something interesting for you. Thanks. So you enjoyed it then? That's nice. Amazing sessions you're calling it. So thank you, and have fantastic weekends, you guys too. So it's nice that you're all being joining us every week. Don't forget, every Friday we're on live.
And tomorrow we're off to a spiritual thing, aren't we?
Yeah, I hope to film something tomorrow with a Sai Baba devotee that we know. We haven't told her yet, but we hope to. And,
she's writing a book about us.
Yeah, and there's lots of interesting stuff going in the background. Oh, and don't forget, there's other videos come up. It's not just the live one. There'll be another one on released on.
You have a great weekend too.
Sunday. I've got it released. Sundays I'm releasing these secondary videos coming up as well. So keep following the channel and click that little bell thing. Well, anyway, so I think we better say goodbye to everybody. Yeah. It looks like we're all saying goodbye.
Treadmill walk. Thank you. Walk this way, baby.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. I think we're going to have to do another one about this sometime. Celebrities and things. It'll be a good one to do. Yeah. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and put a comment if you think we should do another one like this. Okay, see you soon then. Bye for now.
Bye.